Something to think about as we're talking about the power of no is to recognize when we say no to other people, we are saying yes to ourselves. And for women in particular, saying yes to ourselves and no to other people goes against the fiber of our being to put ourselves first. It's funny how downtime can be okay, but self-care is going to get questioned. You ready over there?
I am.
Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I am DocShellie.
And I'm Carla Lewis. And today we would love to spend some time chewing on things that we wish we knew sooner. Things we wish we knew sooner. And we're talking about all the way back.
All the way back.
All the way back. And one of the things that you brought up, Michelle, and is in the book that people should have multiple copies of Boundaries That Empower, because it is the best gift you could give yourself and anyone else, by the way.
Thank you.
Well, just truly brilliant. And I really want to see a workbook come out for it. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
Because there's such good reflection, and being able to go through these affirmations and the considerations that you invite, and being able to have a workbook that as you go through it and you write stuff, being able to go back through it again, 6-12 months down the way.
Yeah.
And be able to see, wow, what's changed, if anything, for you in that reflection and the questions that you ask, which are very provocative and just delightful. So the things we wish we knew sooner, one of the things was this whole notion of no.
No.
Being a complete sentence.
That is hard for people to wrap their head around.
What makes it hard?
People want to know the why. We are curious beasts, and we want to know why.
Okay. So when you say we want to know why, and if you're the one saying the no, is it the pull from others that leads us down this path feeling responsible for filling in the why? Is filling in the why when we say no our own version of trying to make it okay for ourselves and others? I mean, what's going on?
I would say yes to both of those things.
Okay.
Because again, inherently people want to be liked and they want to be respected. And sometimes just saying no with nothing following it, it feels like, oh, they might not like me if I say no. So now I have to explain why.
Making what I want okay with the other person. Or more importantly, what I don't want.
Yeah.
Hence the no.
Exactly. Exactly.
With the
so it's just, I think back to like, when I was a kid, I had to always explain why I didn't want to do something, or if I didn't do something, or I don't know. It just, I wish I would have known through much of my life that no, in and of itself, is a sentence and a statement. I would have spent a lot less time coming up with reasons why. Explaining things away that I didn't really need to explain away. Just no, I don't want to.
And even that's an explanation.
It's true.
So being able to say no and let that stand on its own, I agree, is tough. I have, I don't know if it's a desire or it's a practice, and you brought it up from early days. Saying no was never just enough. You had to say no and why, which opens it up to this discussion about, well, that's not a good enough reason.
Right.
Versus you said no, and while this conversation may not take place, I want to put us both back in our childhoods and say, if you ever said no, the way your parents said no, because they didn't often have to
smacked to next year.
right into the middle of next week. Mom, can I do this? No. But why? No.
I said no because I said so.
because I'm the mom, right?
I always got because I said so. Okay. Or the look. Nancy can give a look.
I don't know. I've not met your mother personally, though I feel I know her pretty well through you. Um, and yeah, I imagine Nancy probably did have a look or does have a look.
She still does.
Yes.
God
And
bless her.
fortunate with that. And I'm imagining Dad has one too.
Not so much.
Not so much. It was always go ask your mother.
Yeah, pretty much.
He wasn't the one that said no. Okay. But those early experiences that we have,
so true.
They train us in how you handle an exchange that involves that word. If the parent or the authority figure is the one saying no, you could push for an explanation, but most often you're not going to get it beyond because I said so, because I said no.
Right.
Or what does it matter? The answer is still no.
Right.
So we get trained in that. And now it comes time for us to be able to say no in an adult kind of way. Yet, how is it that we feel like we need to explain it, where that was not the training that we received? I'm serious. How is it that suddenly trying to make it okay? And here's another question, Doc. Is it different between men and women?
I think so. To answer your first question, yes. I think because oftentimes a no is met with, why not? Then we feel the need to answer that question. So oftentimes we try to just preempt the question and go, I can't because, no, because. So we try to preempt but why not? It'll be so much fun. You should come with us. And I think men in general, I think it's easier for them to just say no. You think there's a whole social norm and social construct that makes it easier for men to not that they don't care about the impact, but they don't sit around thinking like a lot of women do. How is this going to impact all the people around me? Are they going to like me? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't give a shit.
No, because as I was reflecting, just little vignettes where that whole notion of saying no and that being enough, it usually involved authority figures. And I would watch and learn from how they handled it. And especially in the business world, the model, clearly parental model, did not work in the business world.
Right.
As a woman in the 70s.
Or in 2025.
Yeah, probably, hopefully so, right? But because the norms we were writing them, we were creating them, or they were being morphed because suddenly women were in the workplace and it was not in the capacity, it was in the capacity of peer. In terms of the roles you and I had, in terms of engineering, technical prowess, being able to, do work that had historically been done by men. Mm-hmm. And how do we handle that? And so you bring in a group of people who have a totally different upbringing, simply because they were little girls that were now grown into young women, working with men, some of whom may have been dads, all of whom had clutched and clawed their way up to wherever they were. And it was that kind of boys club, locker room togetherness that they weren't ready for what came along. And we sure as hell weren't ready to even know what it was like to fit in. So I, for one, didn't even try. I just beed me. Beed me. And I think it was an interesting time because people were tiptoeing around anything that might come across as a conflict, and the exertion of power, political power, became really tricky because it was political power, but it was also now gender power.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so fascinating, to borrow your word. It was absolutely fascinating to watch it happen. And there wasn't really a way to say no to many things.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was either the political power or that gender power, those two hammers that were wielded with abandon. So learning as a woman how to say no and make that okay for me,
Mm-hmm.
the one saying it, that was an incredible personal journey, incredibly difficult personal journey, but one that, and you probably learned it in the same way, that in those trenches, no was a survival tactic
Mm-hmm.
many times.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't a whole lot of method or training about how to do it. And so we had to, each of us, come up with the way that worked
Mm-hmm.
for us, dependent upon the me I established, because it had to be coherent with, it had to be consistent with the me I was being in that workplace. Whole lot of words that just said it's confusing, and being able to bring all those influences in and be able to understand that no is a full sentence. No is often considered, I think, by the recipients as being some kind of a cop-out. There's something that I don't know. It's interesting, in my gut, I'm having this kind of clenched moment for all of the times where being able to assert yourself and say, no, I don't agree, or no, that's it. The one time in particular it was probably, they thought I was on the rag, because I was called into an engineering meeting every week where they would be reviewing programs and products, and there would be stuff, and Carla, will you take the notes on the flip chart or on the dry erase board?
Ugh, I hated that.
Yeah. And after probably 5 weeks where I had things that I wanted to be able to say, it was back to the other conversation about walking out saying, ugh. But my role was scribe and note taker. And the one particular meeting, after that meeting, I left, I went to my boss and I said, I really don't care if you need somebody to take the notes. That's not why I want to be attending this meeting. And if that is the only reason, then I am no longer going to attend this meeting. What? I'm not just a note taker. And do you notice that I'm the only woman in the room and I'm the note taker? I'm not doing that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't anything on my performance review that says takes great notes.
Right. But it's funny. I remember the first time I was asked to take notes. I'm a good note taker. And so I was always taking I always took my own notes anyway. But I remember one time they asked me if I would do the whole, put it up on the whiteboard. And I was like, I'll do it once and then we'll rotate. And they were like, what? I was like, I know you're asking me because I'm the woman in the room, and I will do it because I'm a good note taker, but we're rotating this task. If this is something we're going to start doing, I'm going to be the only one doing it. It was funny. And they were all like, next week, hey, Shelly, you want to take the notes? Nope. One of you can do it. And one of them stood up and did it. And I was like, okay. But something to think about as we're talking about the power of no is to recognize when we say no to other people, we are saying yes to ourselves.
Yeah.
And for women in particular, saying yes to ourselves and no to other people goes against the fiber of our being to put ourselves first.
Yeah.
Get used to it. It feels good to say no to other people and say yes to yourself. It is okay to do that. It is powerful to be able to do that.
I think that is
It's healthy to be able to do that.
such a great encouragement. Recognizing that, saying yes to yourself.
Yeah.
That's really an important remembrance to take into anything. Anything. It doesn't matter the situation.
Mm-hmm.
If there is something that deserves a no, it's because there's something maybe even more important, and that's you, that deserves the yes.
Exactly. Every no to someone else is a yes to yourself. Very important.
I love that.
Very, very important.
That's in your book.
Probably is.
Yeah. There's so much good stuff. I keep going back to the Boundaries That Empower. You can find it on Amazon.
What else do you wish you would have known sooner?
Oh, my. Well, so we talked about a couple of other things when we were warming up for this particular segment. And that notion of time not being refundable. The notion that we are given that, I keep forgetting the number, 24,800 seconds, whatever it is, every day. There isn't a single one that you can get back. I was thinking about this last night, and while I was in the middle of this scam, I sat for an hour with this terrible music waiting for some agent to come on to the line as soon as possible, and then having that, oh, there's been an error in the application. We're sorry, but this call will be concluded. Click. An hour that I would, not only will I never get back, where absolutely nothing transpired.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was some transpiring. There was some perspiring. There was some ranting. All of this not very productive, but it felt good flouncing around. But I'm not going to go back into that story. But the notion that your time is precious. Every one of these seconds that you're spending listening to Michelle and Carla talk about things that need to be talked about, the aim is that it helps in the conversations and in the thinking and in getting ready or processing through something that's already happened, that it's time well spent. And that's what we want to be able to do, because every second we get is gone in the next second. And what are we doing about it? You cannot get the time back. So how do we think about the investment we make in the time that we do have available?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to recognize how often wasting it ends up being the silent priority. It's not even one that we say, oh, I want to go waste about 36 minutes right now. For me, it's chasing rabbits down social media holes or looking at things that aren't getting me any closer to what it is I'm trying to accomplish.
But at the same time, like, I love social media. I could spend hours, they call doom scrolling through Instagram. I love Instagram. But I enjoy it. I find value in it. I learn things from it. So like, I never think that's a waste of time. Now, if I actually spent hours doing it, it would probably be a waste of time, but I'll do it in small doses. And it's funny too, because one of the coaches that I work with, she loves to watch TV. She's an incredibly productive human being. This woman kicks out more work than anyone I've ever met in my life. And I know very highly productive people. And she spends about 3 to 4 hours every night watching TV. So that's how she spends her evenings. And it took her years to recognize that that was not wasting time, that it was okay, that it was her time. She enjoys the TV shows that she and her husband get to watch together. But years of beating herself up while she's watching TV. I should be doing this. I should be working on this. I should be doing this. I should be cleaning up. I should be doing all these other things, instead of just going, you know what? This is how I like to spend my evening, and this is okay. She wanted to start playing pickleball, but that would have meant giving up at least one night of watching TV. And she was like, pickleball ain't that important. I'm going to watch TV. So we all have our things that we like to spend time on, and they don't always have to be productive in the sense that we think of, I can measure my productivity. It's getting me towards my goal. Sometimes it's okay to take those breaks. I once had somebody tell me that I guarded my time, and I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, you're very protective of your time. She's like, and it was somebody I worked with, and she's like, you are very particular about the meetings that you say yes to. I see you turn down meetings that you probably should be at, and you're like, I'm not going to that meeting. I was like, if there's no agenda, I won't go to a meeting. If there is no reason for me to be there, if everyone else on my team is invited to that meeting, we all don't need to be there unless it's some sort of announcement, which those are like those 15-minute meetings. Mm-hmm. But she said, and in your personal life, she goes, I can always tell, like when you leave work, you're like, I'm going to go play tennis. I'm going to go play volleyball, or I'm doing X, Y, and Z. She says, you're very guarded with your time, and you seem to only spend it doing things that you want to do. And I was like, yeah, like, who doesn't do that? And so it was interesting to me. That's not the way other people live their life. I didn't know that.
Well, I think that you are being productive, even in those times when that might be downtime, in quotes, because downtime is restorative. The whole notion that you can go play pickleball and come home feeling restored, refreshed, sore, accomplished, and you did something healthy for and more sore, that, but you did something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And you're getting out with yet another new group of people. And I think that downtime, I'm calling it, that time where we're not necessarily doing things that are the shoulds, that we've already talked about, not shoulding all over yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I recall in the 90s, and I was going through my master's program, which was a residency program on the East Coast. I was working full-time in Michigan. So there was a whole lot of stuff that went into being able to work full-time in Michigan and be in a resident program on the East Coast. And in the middle of all of that, I learned how to do Tiffany glass, to do those kinds of window panes and lamps and what have you. And I could go into the little workshop with the grinders and the cutters and the soldering irons and all of that. I could go in there and spend 5 hours not knowing 5 hours had passed, being completely consumed, because you had to pay close attention to what you were doing. There was blood involved, and it was and burns and things like that. And I would be so refreshed because my body and my mind had been able to take such an incredible break. There was nothing downtime about it. But if I looked at the list of should do's, should be studying, should be working on that paper, should be practicing what's going to happen on my thesis, whatever it was going to be, and go to bed at 3:00 in the morning, having spent 5 hours in the craft room, and getting up in a couple hours after a nap and going to work and having an incredibly productive day. So the fact that that time itself may not be refundable, isn't refundable, makes our notion about how we spend it, even in the calmer times, even in the non-should times, it's an investment of something that's precious and can't be reclaimed. And so being able to look at every moment, including sitting watching television or watching Henry and the Keebs fight over some new shoe that they just discovered in your closet, and and maybe Keeper learning how to steal now, learning from Henry. But those things, they're all generative. They're all, you posted something yesterday that you were giving yourself.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. My self-care day was
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. And I know it's a weird time of year to just have a complete down day. It was like I'm taking a break from social media. I am not doing any work for a couple days. And I went and played pickleball. I did a couple things around the house. I watched TV. I took a nice hot steamy shower and did all my lotions and potions, got a little shoulder massager, and then I went to a Christmas party that evening, and it was a lovely day. And somebody had texted me and said, "How is pickleball self-care?" I said, "Well, I love to play pickleball." And she's like, "You always complain about how sore you are afterwards." I was like, "Not every pickleball match renders me sore." But I only played for an hour, and that was exactly what I needed. And it's funny how downtime can be okay, but self-care is going to get questioned.
That is funny. That is funny. I think that it gets back to how we all have these different definitions of something. And if you talked about the notion of, I've got time that I'm going to invest in having fun, being anything but good.
Right.
How can it be anything but good?
Right. Fun is important. And I think when I think about time, I have people that I'd prefer to spend my time with. I have things that I enjoy doing. I have obligations that may or may not be the best things that I want to invest my time in, but they're necessary.
Life keeps lifing.
Exactly. But it's about balancing all of those things out. And we all have 24 hours in a day, right?
Yeah.
And none of us get time back. Oh. And I can't tell you how many times I've left a situation, whether it's at work, I've left a meeting, a conversation, and I think that's an hour I'll never get back. You know?
I had a few of those last night. Yeah.
Yeah, they happen. But when we can be really intentional with where we spend our time, whether it's downtime, self-care, watching TV, doing all the shoulds on our list, doing our tasks, however we want to frame those things up, balancing all that out is really important.
I think the key you just triggered for me on that is the whole intentionality. Okay, yeah, I've got these seconds, these minutes, these hours. I'm making a decision about what I'm going to do with them. The intention of my investment of these next whatever moments. Mm-hmm. And having it be an intention means there's this reason for it. Even if the reason for it looks like I'm doing nothing, there's a reason I'm sitting here looking like I'm doing nothing. And I'm not doing it for you.
Right.
I'm doing it for me. Back to the no. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not going to stay busy 24/7. I'm not, even saying no to self, because that should brain, I know we don't really have a should brain. I have a very loud should section in my brain. And every once in a while, I have to tell it to shut up. Okay? We're not messing with shoulds right now. Keep your should to yourself. It's intentional right now. I am not looking at my phone. Of course, it's not well known that my phone right now has been.
We're also doing a podcast, and we shouldn't be looking at our phones anyway.
Right, besides that, right? Yeah. Oh, wait, just a sec. Okay, yeah. Oh, no, that ad is still flashing. My phone is possessed. But, okay. So the fact is that it's intentional. We don't get any of the time back. And so isn't it a good idea to be able to be intentional? Even if intention is, I am not going to think about a thing. I'm not going to look at a thing. I'm going to go for a walk because it's just me and the sidewalk, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. And it's not because every moment needs to have a stated purpose, but every moment matters. Mm-hmm. Whatever you do or don't do. And you can't get it back. So It's getting to the place of being okay with how every single one of my seconds gets spent. And not having to moan the fact that I'd like to get those back.
Right.
I really wish I could, because that's just wasted time right there. You can't get it back.
Can't get it back.
Do the best you can with what you've got. Work with what you've got. And
then to waste the time thinking about how much time we wish we could have back serves no one either.
No, really. It's like today's quote that says, don't live life in the past lane.
It's a great quote.
It's gone. It's gone. So if there's something you need to bring forward into the now lane from that, because it will be fruitful to do so, go for it. But we don't need to sit and moan. I'm going to stop sitting and moaning about the 2 hours and whatever else money I lost during this scam event last night. It's like, okay, I could spend more time grieving that, but it doesn't get any of it back. So what can I take forward from it? Right. And that's part of even being able to sit and talk with a dear friend like Michelle, to be able to reach out to somebody and say, this horrible thing just happened. Well, I can't make it have unhappened. It's really weighing on me, and I'm looking for a little help just to carry it, just to be able to get to the next steps. And here's another thing that happens, right? So I reach out to my good friend Michelle. What's it going to do for her? How does wasting her time listening to me bellyache about something that happened? And it's not about that. I don't have the right to make a decision for Michelle about the value or not, because what I know is if I want to talk about something and it's not a good time or she's not interested, she can say no, and I'm going to be okay with that. I don't even need to know why.
And may I just point out how many times you apologized for telling me what was going on?
Yeah, I know.
And how many times did I say, don't apologize, you're fine, keep going. Yeah. But if I didn't have time or I didn't want to hear it, you're darn right. I would have said, I don't have time for this conversation right now, Carla. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. Sometimes when we think about a burden that we're carrying and we want to talk with somebody about it, what goes through our head? Well, I don't want to bother this person. I don't know if they have time. That is on them to make that decision, not you. Don't be making other people's decisions for them.
Oh, man, say that again.
Don't be making other people's decisions for them.
When we consider...
Mel Robbins wrote this book that I'm reading called Let Them. Okay. Let them. Let them have their thoughts. Let them make their decisions. And then the second part of it, which I wish was in the title of the book, is Let Me. Because I think that is more powerful than Let Them. But it's a fabulous book.
Okay. Thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah. I read it in a day and a half.
Okay. Those are the kind that just consume
which is unusual
you.
For me. Yeah.
You go to consume a book and it consumes you. And I love those books.
It's a very good book. Highly recommend it. Anyway, I think we should wrap this episode up, but I want to continue it next week. Okay. And I want to talk about a couple other things that we wish we knew sooner. And that is, nobody is watching you as closely as you think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. I have some strong thoughts about that one, so I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on that one. And your value is not up for debate. Those are the next three things I want to talk about next week.
Oh, let's do.
All right. So with that, I'm DocShellie. Let us know what you wish you would have known sooner.
And I'm Carla Lewis, and I can't wait to hear.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Sometimes when we think about a burden that we're carrying and we want to talk with somebody about it, what goes through our head? Well, I don't want to bother this person. I don't know if they have time. That is on them to make that decision, not you. Don't be making other people's decisions for them.
Oh, man, say that again.
Don't be making other people's decisions for them.